Wednesday, December 18th, 2024. We do have a quorum present, so I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Chittenden Solid Waste District. Board packet was sent out to all commissioners and made available to the public online. First item on the agenda is the agenda itself. Are there any requests for changes or additions to the agenda?
No. Paul, we might want to make note that ahead of item number 3, that will still be in public session. So we may not necessarily need to go into executive session.
Very good. So yes, item number 3, we'll begin with a public session and presentation. We'll explain that in a moment when we get there, with the possibility of an executive session if we deem it advisable and necessary. With that clarification, I have heard of no requests for changes or additions, so we will follow the agenda as presented in the packet. Second item on the agenda is a public comment period. Are there any members of the public present via Zoom or via the telephone who wish to address the Board of Commissioners? There are none in the CSWD meeting room.
I believe the phone number is Kelton.
Yep, I believe that's.
Yep,
Like
it's me. It's me, Kelton.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
And the attendee just the CC?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's actually Kelton,
Oh, okay.
but I've promoted him. He just came in.
No members of
differently.
the public have identified themselves either via Zoom or phone wishing to address the board. We will close the public comment period and move on to item number 3. We have rearranged the schedule tonight. Normally we would do the consent agenda next, but this next item, item 3, has to deal with the purchase and sale of parcel on Flynn Avenue, between a sale of parcel by CSWD to the city of Burlington. And do we have Chapin Spencer here?
I just got a text, he says he's put in the registration to Zoom, I'm waiting approval.
So while our secretary, Amy, tries to get him in, just by way of explanation, Sarah did send out a letter to the full board that we will be covering tonight. And after Chapin and perhaps Lee have made comments, we'll have the opportunity, if any clarifying questions to be posed to them. And if we feel necessary, we'll then go into executive session to discuss further the situation on this purchase and sale agreement. We may invite both Chapin and Lee to participate in that conversation if we deem it necessary, but when we begin any deliberations in executive session, we would ask them to, in Chapin's case, to leave the meeting, and in Lee's case, to recuse himself. And he's been notified of that and is agreeable to that eventuality.
Are you seeing him, Amy, or?
I am getting there.
Okay.
And as a reminder, this is related to, as Paul said, the transfer of 201 Flynn Avenue via purchase and sale agreement from CSWD to the city of Burlington. The original closing date was to be in early December. The city did ask for an extension to basically at that point, Lee, I think it was to accommodate the surveyor. You're having difficulty scheduling that survey, and that was one of the requirements of the agreement was that the city would undertake the survey, the new survey on the property for the little bit of extra that we had said makes sense for them to have with that parcel. So our attorney indicated that due to the way that the board had passed the resolution, that I had the authority to extend that the closing date, so I did, to December 31. So that is where we are currently sitting, is in that current extension. But because there's a request for another extension, I had, at the behest of the city, I'd asked Chapin to come and discuss that with the board and to present the rationale for that. I also did ask for something in writing that did indicate that the city was serious about going through with the the deal, and so I had asked for something from the mayor, from the city council president, and that is what was sent yesterday. And I do apologize for the late notice of that letter, but you all do have that.
So that's the background, and it looks like Chapin is present.
He's in there somewhere.
No, we
Yes.
don't see.
I am present, thank you.
Okay, great.
Very good. Chapin, if you could just introduce yourself, and we have a lot of new commissioners who may not be familiar with you, and just establish your role in this transaction and why you're here tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time for the board to take this up. As you saw in the mayor's letter, and Sarah has been great in working with us. We have been moving ahead expeditiously on a number of fronts since we signed the purchase and sale agreement. We are fully committed to closing on this transaction. Some of the things we have jointly accomplished is getting a survey of the property so that the bounds are clearly delineated prior to the transaction. We've had multiple tours of the facility to confirm code compliance for our future use. We've been meeting with the existing tenant to discuss new lease terms and soliciting ground lease arrangements with lending institutions. And it's that last item where we've hit a hiccup that because the property has soil contamination, that the lending institutions have been concerned about using the property as collateral in the loan. So the city has decided to do an inter-fund loan within the city. And we need time to get that through the city council, given that last Monday night, the 16th, was the last time the council meets this calendar year. And the purchase and sale agreement expires before a January meeting. So we are humbly requesting an extension through the end of January, a 1-month extension of the purchase and sale. And we're here to answer any questions. And we really do appreciate the joint effort to bring what's been a 2-decade saga between the city and Chittenden Solid Waste District to a successful conclusion.
Thank you, Chapin. Lee, any additional comments that you'd like to make?
No.
Before I open it up to other commissioners who may have questions, I think, Chapin, you did acknowledge that it's been a very long, drawn-out process. We're almost there, but I guess I'd ask the hard question is, how confident should the board of CSWD be that we can actually close this by the end of January?
Right, yes, because we are using an inter-fund loan within the city, we do need council approval. But we have solidified a cost-sharing arrangement between Water Resources, a division within DPW, and the general fund overall, given that both the general fund as well as our utility will be using this soil management facility. And, frankly, I've put too much energy into this, and I think Lee and Sarah would probably agree that pride at this point and frankly, the future use of soil management is critical. By freeing up this space at 339 Pine Street, by moving soil management from 339 Pine Street to Flynn Avenue, we can give CSWD more space for the existing drop-off center there. So it is a win-win arrangement. Yes, there's an operational need for Burlington to have better compliance with soil management rules and regs, but we're really excited for CSWD to have more of a presence at 339 Pine Street.
Thank you. One follow-up clarifying question, either you, Chapin, or perhaps Sarah, can you just remind the board the sum of money that we're talking about that will seal the deal?
Yeah, the total price was.
The net price, I guess,
Yeah.
ultimately.
Oh, the net price. So that involves some pennies. So the purchase price is $350. The city has already given the district essentially some option payments, right? So I would say, hold on, option payments at just over, I believe, just over $100,000, like 101 and change. So there's a little bit of a, oh no, I'm sorry, it was 375, not 350.
75.
375. So,
With the 101 credited against
and then
that,
101 credited against that, so the balance there.
in the 274
4-ish,
range.
273-ish range, right?
Okay, just for clarity's sake, so that all the commissioners are aware of the sum of money that we're talking about. Now I'll open it up to commissioners who have questions or comments.
I don't have any questions. I'll just say I fully support the request. I believe it's being made in good faith and, I think it's important that we support this. I fully support it.
I'm hearing a little bit of background audio on somebody, if you could make sure you're muted. Sounds good. Katie, your hand is up.
That might have been my audio. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So it's to do here. So Keeban, I've been with CSW for a long time and I've been watching this project as well, and I'm fully supportive. I just have a question. How confident are you that the interfund loan will be approved by the council? Is that a definite, or is that a let's hope so?
Thanks, Katie, and thanks for your ongoing service. What I can say is the city council unanimously approved the purchase and sale agreement. So there is not any friction that I am aware of from the city council. And so I have briefed a number of them, and they understand the kind of permit compliance issues around our soil management needs and our desire to, improve the drop-off center services to the public, which frankly have been quite popular, the expansion and return of service to Pine Street after COVID. So I don't foresee any issues. I have not heard any concerns.
Alan,
having watched this for 20-something years, the letter from the mayor was the most positive thing that I think that we could have seen. And, over the years, it's been Chapin and Lee that, we hear the conversations from and everything. And I have no problem believing that they're going to come through before the end of January. So I think it's good to extend the agreement.
would other commissioners like to weigh in either with comments or questions?
I just have a quick question.
Bryn?
Thanks, Chapin. Bryn Oakley from the Winooski rep. And I'm curious how much you have influence over agenda setting for council. How soon can it get on to the council calendar for January?
Yeah, thanks, Bren. We have two council meetings happening on the 13th and the 27th. So my request is the extension go through the 31st, just to give us both council meetings in case something comes up on the 13th. So I know we have asked now for 2 one-month extensions, and I know this process has drawn out, and I appreciate the long-standing commissioner support from those of you around the table who've been around a long time. So I don't want to wear out my welcome anymore.
Thank you.
But Chapin, the aim is to try to get on the 13th?
Yes. It is the holiday, so, working with folks with schedules, in case, I need the 27th, I want to keep that opportunity, but I am trying to aim for the 13th, yes.
Would you like a motion, Paul?
I understand we do not need, do we need a motion?
Well, we don't need a motion for me to agree to extend, and I would just send a letter, like I did last time, it was just a very short, we agreed to provide that. This was, I wanted to keep the board up to speed, and if you did have concerns, to allow you to really, talk it out with Chapin a little bit and Lee if needed to be held in an executive session, and if there was any concerns or issues. So, but if you would like you certainly can, it's up to you,
Well, at
but
this
it's not
point-
necessary.
Sorry to interrupt. My sense from the comments that I've heard is that there's a level of comfort. I haven't heard from commissioners a level of discomfort that would require us to get into executive session and kind of dig into this. So my sense of the agreement of the board is that I'll go to Ken in a second, but I think we're okay with this, but let's hear from Ken.
The only I just haven't heard from Sarah what she wants to do. That's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah, I agree with Chapin. We both have worked long and hard on this. This was the MOU with the city of Burlington was the first official document that I presided over when I first came on board 8.5 years ago. So and it's longer for many of you. And I agree, it does have, when we can get there, it will have benefits for both the district and the city almost immediately, certainly within 6 months, we'll be seeing some of the benefits of that. So I am supportive of this extension, and I am appreciative that we have heard from the mayor. I agree with Alan. This is a strong signal, strong sign of support, statement of support that I also appreciate personally, not just professionally. So I support the extension.
Great, thanks.
So again, I think I think we are comfortable. My sense of the board is we're comfortable with granting the 1 month extension, and let's hope when we meet, certainly in February, if not at our meeting in January, we'll have the good news that this sale has closed.
Great.
So I want to thank you, Chapin, if you're still here. I know you've got another meeting coming right up, so that was why we had put you earlier in the agenda. So
Thank you, Chair.
you have some time to speak with us. And
Thank you, Chapin.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah,
have a good
my
evening.
pleasure, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of 2 board meetings from November 20th and November 26th, program update memos and charts. And I know that there was some notation, some of the charts could benefit from some improvement, but I will find out if there's a request to have those pulled from the consent agenda. If it's not, I think those improvements will be incorporated next month. The executive director update, our standard finance reports, and the roll-off truck purchase, which does require board approval because it exceeds the executive director and the executive board authority. But this is an item that was included in the budget, and as the memo makes clear, it's been well bid and is coming in under budget. And a very necessary purchase. That's what the consent agenda consists of. Are there any requests to remove an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? There are none in the meeting room. I'm hearing none via phone or Zoom. Therefore, the items in the consent agenda will be accepted as presented in the board packet. So now we get to a highlight of the evening, the new website review. This is very exciting.
Yes.
And I guess we will turn it over to, I don't know who's gonna, Elisa's gonna do it, great.
Elisa, yes.
All right.
Hello, hi everybody. Thanks for giving me a little time this evening. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. So I just wanted to give you, I've got 15 minutes, so I apologize if I feel like I seem like I'm rushing, but if anyone wants me to stop or after this meeting would like a personal tour, I'm happy to do that also. So basically we did start this redesign a couple of years ago, and the idea was originally that it needed a refresh look. We had not redesigned our website since 2016, which is a long time in web years. It's a long time in most years, but it was time to do that. Also, a good reason to redesign was now 60% of our views are on mobile devices. So that could be your cell phone, that could be your iPad, any of those mobile devices. And as we all know, when we start looking at things away from a computer screen, it can look much different on a cell phone if we don't design for it specifically. We also were ready for a big content streamline. Over the years, our website has been a great resource for staff and for the general public. But what you have to do is watch how much you're shoving into a website and how often it can be maintained. So we really knew we were ready for a content revamp. Also, the A through Z list, which is the most popular page on our website. For staff on the back end, it had become very cumbersome and needed to also be streamlined to be better maintained. And for the public, we thought we could do something better. We could actually make it easier and more streamlined across each A through Z item. So we looked into that. And then also the Green Mountain Compost website had been a standalone website for CSWD for a long time, and that was partially because they sold products specifically. If for some of you remember bagged compost, we had a lot of that, and it needed its own website because it really was a different beast from CSWD. But now that we have basically turned to a wholesale model, we were able to incorporate GMC back into the website, which sort of a one-stop shop for a general public. So that was the basic reasoning behind the redesign. Also, we did want to deep dive into who our users were and what they really wanted, and that was the first phase of this project. Was really finding out what users were doing, how they were behaving, and also what do they want? I mean, really, what do our general public want to use our website for? And just for general knowledge before I now show the website, is that our average time on site is 1 minute and 35 seconds. The average for the general public is 54 seconds. So people do take a little bit more time on our site, and we wanted to see if basically what they wanted, which is most people coming to our site want to know our hours, our locations, our A through Z list because they have an item and they want to know how much it's going to cost them and where does it take them. And that's what it proved out, was really our site's very functional for people. They don't spend a lot of time cruising around. They want to get to exactly the information they need. And this site was built with that in mind. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, please let me know if for some reason you cannot see it. Okay, awesome.
It is. It's up.
Awesome, thank you. So this is the revamped homepage, and I'll just spend a little bit of time on this because it has some really fun features and I think really informative features for the general public. One is you can see we now have multiple notices that we can put up to the general public. These are very important to people. When they are not present, we hear about it, but we now have the ability to stack messages. For instance, you can see here we have a holiday closure event that just gives people the heads up that our holiday schedule is coming up so they can view our calendar. But after it, we do have a specific closure coming up for next week, and we're able to show people that. I can also set these notices to be more intrusive. So right now they just kind of hang out at the top, but if I wanted to set one of these, say we have an emergency weather closing, I can actually trigger a pop-up that when you came to our homepage, it would pop up and you could not bypass it without clicking out of it. So if we really wanted people to know that we had closed Williston because there was a power outage, we can elevate these messages to really get in front of the user. So that's really kind of exciting. We want to be really cautious about how often we use that because we don't want to wear out our welcome, and these messages should be prioritized, but that's really quite interesting. The other thing I'll show you is we now have the ability to pop up messages in very specific sections. And I'll show you when we go into the location section, I can target Burlington and not have that message show up on the rest of the other locations. So that lets us tailor it more to location. So we're not annoying people who really, if I'm a Milton customer and there's a closure at Burlington, we don't necessarily have to annoy the Milton customer with a message. So that's for communications, that's really exciting. And it also, this has become a more stable system. We can count on it more than we could in the past. I can pre-schedule messages and things like that. So we're really excited about that. The spotlight here, this is what we call a spotlight. There's a commitment to communications and marketing that we will be changing this on a regular basis. And basically this will call attention to things we want to highlight: leaf pickup, holiday waste, exciting new messaging about the new MRF coming up. So we can change that out, and we'll be doing that regularly. That also helps with our Google search listings because it shows that we continually update our page. We also really did want to commit to, people still get us confused with Casella and don't quite understand we're a municipality. So we wanted upfront an explanation of who we are, so most people can see that above the fold on their screens. Another thing to notice, our locations are right here on the homepage. They can see on the map, they can go to each one of these locations if they're interested, but that's front and center, and that was really important to people when we surveyed them. Featured news, when we have news items we want to push to the public, we can go ahead and put them here. They can also show up in other places around the site. See, the new material recycling facility has its own blog post that will be updated continually. And then we also have upcoming events. So that's the cool new homepage. We tried to keep it pretty concise since this is the front door still for most people. I did want to show you, this is the top level navigation. This is where people are going to look for most of their information. The A through Z list search, CSWD facilities and fees, waste and recycling help. This is where most of our education about what the larger categories of solid waste are about and what to know. Resources, this also gets down into the nitty gritty. This is where we have PDFs, information about composting, things of that nature, and then about CSWD. This will be of interest to commissioners, who we are and what we do. This is where you're going to find most of your governance documentation. So if you ever are looking for the SWIP plan, the ordinance, contamination policy, reporting violations, our annual reports, this is where you would go for that. A lot of good stuff is under about CSWD. Also, this is where the Board of Commissioners page now sits. We wanted this page to be easier for y'all and also for other people who are looking for our board agendas. You'll see now board agendas are, all these packets are here by meeting date. So you can always come here if for some reason you've misplaced your packet or you don't have access to it, you can come here. They are posted as soon as we receive it, which is within, outside of the 48-hour posting. But this way you can always come there. Also, all your upcoming board meetings are posted here. So we've filtered out the calendar to have all other dates that don't apply to the board are not represented here. This is a calendar that's just for your meetings. So that's something, if you want to see older materials, you can also get to it here. We also have a link into Town Meeting TV on YouTube so you can see your recordings. So committee information is also here. So that's similar to where it was on the last site, but you can see the most recent meeting information. So that makes it easier for the general public to find meeting agendas and hopefully for the board too. If you have any feedback on how this page works for you or doesn't work for you, please feel free to send me an email and I'm happy to talk with you or see if we can figure out a better solution. Go ahead. Yep.
I don't know if you're going to go to the A to Z search, but perfect, thanks.
Going right now.
Thank you.
So the A through Z list, where this is a little bit different than what we've had in the past, is this is a third-party site that actually works with municipalities and solid waste districts all over the United States and has created A through Z lists for them. So this was a toolbox. They're continually improving this. We don't have to do that. We just are in charge of the content that we put into it. As you can see, when you hit your A through Z list right now, we are able to feature searches. So you'll see this is very holiday specific. Christmas trees, leaves, string lights. They can go directly to those items. Food scraps, because we know that's a continual focus for the district. If I click on, you can search here by the name. If you wanted tree, you could type it in here. You can see you'll get anything that's associated or might have part of that word come up in the search. You can go from there. I will go to Christmas tree. And you can see here, we can also post messages about schedules and anything people need to know about changes coming up in this tool also. We have a picture. We have any special handling instructions of what people need to know about bringing these items to us. The best option, I really like this. We can choose the best option for drop off or how to get rid of this item. So for instance, if this was an item that had a reuse as a number one potential option, I can put your reuse here, and then gives any fees associated and also the facilities that can take these items. And we can rearrange those facilities too. If we don't want certain facilities to be the first on the list, like please bring it to Williston, we have more capacity, we can do that. People can get directions to our facilities. The thing that I will two things I will point out here, and then I'll be done with my portion. We have translations now that we did not before. So this tool is translated into 6 different languages. They have a finite amount of languages that are available. So we picked the top 6 that we thought would actually apply to our communities. So that can be translated. So that's interesting, and we have not had that capacity before. Also, you'll see there's a need help tab. You can report a violation. You can also ask us a question. This has been super active since launch. I get an average of 3 to 4 questions a day coming directly into me about items within the A through Z list. So that's pretty exciting. We're watching Google Analytics on the back end. We've got GA4 now, so we're able to sort of continue along and watch what traffic is doing. So I'm really encouraged about where we're going and what we're doing with the website.
Elise, thank you. And again, just to reiterate, this was a very large project and it took a very long time. A lot of people, Elise has spent countless hours on this, and the result is been really great. A lot of input and feedback from staff over the years as well, so it was very collaborative. A lot of the DOC operators, the DOC operator team leads have been very involved in that A to Z list, just making sure that they have an understanding of that, and because again, they answer a lot of questions as well. So I just want to give some kudos to Elise and her team for a job very well done. Appreciate that.
And you've got some nice comments in the chat box, Elise.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I think we're going to have some questions and observations. Margie, why don't you go first, and then Allison?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it looks great, and I'm gathering from what you said, but I thought I'd ask the question a little bit more directly, that it's also going to be much easier for you for upkeep and maintenance, that there's a lot of stuff you can do yourself.
Yeah, it is still in WordPress for those of you who are familiar with that back-end system, but it was built for us, and right now, luckily my skill set includes WordPress on the back end, so I can do 75% of the work that needs to be done by myself, and then I have Bytes, the agency, as a backup. So yes, it's a lot easier to handle on the back end, and we also have what we call web hygiene practices in place that we didn't necessarily have in place before, that will keep this site current and less cumbersome behind the scenes.
All great news. Thank you.
Thanks, Margie.
Allison, and then Rick.
Hello, and hi, Elise. I think I heard you yesterday on Star 92.9.
You did. I was for
Thank you for your
week.
time
Sure.
promoting CSWD and all that we do.
Yep.
Just a quick question. The A to Z list is something that I use a lot myself, and you mentioned that through that questions link, people are emailing you about A to Z's related stuff. And I was curious if there are maybe any plans. I saw that on that main A to Z page, there's something about calling if you don't see something on the list.
Yes.
Are there any plans to put a link to submit something? As
Well,
maybe an introvert, it might be easier to send an email versus call, or less barrier to entry.
Definitely. So one of the features, and I wasn't able to show it, if you put something into search and it doesn't find what you want, it said there is a note that says can't find what you want, please send us a note. And it actually lets somebody submit something. Like our favorite thing to pick on is air horn. But you can actually submit that, and then what I do is look on basically a monthly basis to see what's been submitted, and I work with operations, facilities to say, hey, is that something that, yes, we do see enough of that, let's put it in, or they have the ability to tag other things. So if, say, plastic bucket, and the new plastic bucket is called the ABC bucket, I can tag that with ABC, and you can find the bucket. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that we can do, but yes, the general public has a way to submit those things, including staff can do that too. I'm working very closely with facilities to make sure that we're responding to what we're seeing on the ground, so I can massage that A through Z list for them.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Rick?
Hi, thank you. Elise, congratulations on getting to the end of this very lengthy, very intensive process. It does
Thank
look
you,
good.
Rick. I appreciate it.
In that connection,
Mhm.
having had some experience with website maintenance and content management systems, and also always being concerned about the workload that's being put on CSWD staff, are you content with the content management features that the system offers you?
Yes, I mean, I'm still getting used to them. You know, you have to learn any new system when it's WordPress, it is a custom template for us. But luckily I have the time right now. One of the changes, and I think this is known to the board, was communications is now majority of that in Beth Parent's camp, which it used to be in my camp. That gives me more time to learn and train more on the back end, so I can support it more efficiently. So right now, I think I have the support that I need. I think if we want to do further bigger improvements, that's something that I'd probably work with our Bytes agency on to work with. But right now, I have the time that I need as the only member of the marketing team to be able to handle this on the back end. And to tell you the truth, this kind of work I really love to do. Problem solving with tech is one of my favorite things to do. So I now have an opportunity to give myself time to do that. So I appreciate the support from Sarah and from Jen to be able to do that work.
Great. And I have an unrelated question, if I may ask it, Paul, or I'm willing to let somebody else go.
Anybody in the room here who has a question at this point?
I'll follow up after Richard.
Okay, go ahead, Rick.
I have so little to do in my life that I've taken to reading privacy statements on websites. So I just skimmed I should have read this one more carefully. I appreciate the fact that it's pretty short. The one thing that jumped out at me is the use of Google Analytics, which is something I am increasingly leery of in the broader world. So would I be correct in thinking that any data collected through Google Analytics winds up being data that Google can use for its own purposes? Or are there firewalls around what they can do with the data gleaned from our website?
From my understanding, because we are using Google Analytics, we do offer that information to Google for use. I don't believe they're able to harvest from our site, say websites. We do not really capture that information in Google Analytics itself. John Dorwart could probably speak more to what security measures are in place on the back end. But from my understanding, we're not an e-commerce site, so we're not gathering a lot of personal information from our users. What Google would most likely see if they looked or they used our data is basically patterns of behavior, but they wouldn't be able to, all of our, say if I'm capturing through a form, it's going into Gravity Forms, which is, a third-party plugin, which is not a Google product. So basically what they'd be able to glean from our GA4 is, how many people we have coming to our site. They can do demographics with that, but that's as far as I understand at this point, they would be able to get from our site. We're just not gathering enough personal information from people through GA to be able to do that. That would make a difference to them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Bryn.
Thanks. A couple of questions, and congratulations also, very much in order. And I think I'm going to start with, so the Community Cleanup Fund grant form was online. Is it still online?
Yes, it is.
And is there a way to upload attachments on that form, or does that have to be emailed in separately?
Yes, no, actually, this was just addressed earlier on because there was an issue that the form was only accepting one file upload, but we had a community, I don't know if it was yours, Bren, that wanted to upload multiple files, and John Dorwart actually shifted that, and we've allowed for multiple uploads of files. So yes, in the file, if you have supporting documentation for that grant, like a receipt or something like that, you're able to upload that in that form, and you can do multiple.
Great. Yeah, it might have been me. Odds are high. And then I was curious if there was a phase 2. Do you have things in like a bike rack that your wish list items for the near future or the hopefully not too distant future?
Right now, I can't say that we have anything huge. I mean, part of what's going to be coming up for us is we're going to really be looking at our marketing efforts and how to get to the audiences that we want. And I think that will help guide some of improvements to marketing to the website. An example, we'd like to use more animations on the website. We'd like to use more videos because we're finding people consuming information, it's much easier to show them a quick video on how to handle your food scraps correctly than have them read a long PDF about it or a whole page. So where you're going to see probably more improvements that we're focusing on is how we're communicating that information to people. The big improvement for us was the A through Z list. That was pretty critical for us. We'll also be pinging staff on a regular basis based on their needs and challenges on the ground. And we're capturing that, and then we'll be reviewing that probably quarterly. A lot of that stuff, Bryn, that we're doing that's outside of what my skill set would be, we'll review for budget season, and then we'll budget for that and probably work with an outside agency to do that work. But if you have suggestions or things that you've seen from other sites that you think work really well. For instance, I'm really curious, there is the A through Z list vendor that we have offers a game, a recycling game that people can play online about what goes where. It's pretty cute and pretty easy from, somebody like me who just likes to game online to somebody who's 5 years old could probably play this game. And I would like to see more interactive items like that in our website.
And then I have 2 more things.
I think you've got the floor, go ahead.
Okay, just for languages, so as a Winooski rep, we have a high population comparatively to the rest of Vermont that speaks their first language is not English.
Right.
And we have, I believe, we're all resident voting as well, so for our local elections, we translate into probably 6 or 7 different languages. But we have probably 15 to 20 different spoken languages. Mm-hmm. I've also learned, and our communications director has learned, that the reading comprehension, even in the base language, is not always high. So I wasn't sure if there was plans for working with USCRI or other local partners for videos, for any translation videos.
Funny that you asked that, Bryn. This is not my in my camp, but I am privy to it, and Jen might be able to jump in on it. But Beth Parent and Kat Moody on the outreach team have been approached by an organization about translating, I think, and I might be wrong, but I'll say it. I think it's either CHT or CVOEO are the groups that have approached Kat about creating videos. Kat would be the person to do the video on, say, how to recycle in our communities, and they will actually do the translations for the videos into, I can't remember how many languages, but they were going to take that on. That was an expense that we would put up front. We would pony up the money for that, but they would do all the production work on it, and we would offer our expertise. So that is something that is just, I think that just came into our conversations a week or 2 ago, but that is definitely something that's planned. So you're right on the money. Jen, do you have something to add about that?
I was just gonna say, I just looked at the notes, it's 15 languages and it's through the Language Justice Project.
That's really exciting to hear. And then lastly, I don't know if there are any annual awards that you could apply for, but I definitely think that the amount of work and that's gone into this would be worthy of a nomination. So if there are any that exist out there for municipal outreach or web updates, I encourage you to apply.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I think our agency is submitting us for some of those,
Fantastic.
but we will take a look around for, I think there are certain organizations that handle solid waste that we might be eligible for too. And thank you. That's a great compliment. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
So Elise, I've got a question. Oh no, Rick, go ahead.
Sure. One last privacy related question.
Sure.
In exploring the website, I keep getting asked by the browser to provide my location.
Yeah.
What does the website do with that location data?
You know, I've just noticed that myself, Rick, and I have a question into Bytes about that. I'm not sure where that's being generated from, if that's browser or something on our back end that's prompting for it. I know from my standpoint, I haven't asked for that kind of data. So if it would be okay, I'll find that answer out and I'll send that to you.
Sure, I'd
I'm
be
not
interested.
sure right now why it's doing that multiple times.
And understand that I'm not trying to
Oh,
shoot.
no. I'm curious myself too, because privacy is a big deal. We're a public entity and I don't want people to feel uncomfortable by what we're asking of them. And for me, it'd have to be a pretty good reason. And I don't know the answer to it. So let me get back to you on that, Rick, and we'll figure it out.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
So at least my question goes back to the A to Z list, and I may have missed this, you may have explained it, but I think you said that the primary database comes from a third party, maintains that list, but that we have some ability to customize that list or refine it.
Sure.
Is that correct? And my concern is the risk of getting a bad response to something that, yes, you can recycle this, and then turns out in Chittenden County you can't.
Right. So let me clarify, the tool itself is a third-party tool. So they built the way it works. We have populated everything in the content for it. So that's where you see the elephant share of work from facilities and operations working on populating the correct answers. Where it was kind of interesting from our standpoint is the A through Z lists came pre-populated with a lot of items, not what to do with them, but what items. So that was gathered from all these different municipalities and solid waste districts around the United States. And it was surprising the detail that was thrown into it that, was even more. I think right now the list is 536 items. We're trying to consolidate as much of those as possible because all those have to be maintained, right? But this tool streamlined it all. If you can imagine, we have a dashboard now to manage all of these items, whereas before I would have to open up each item as its individual page and make edits on those pages. And there were more than 536 at that time. So now we have more of a dashboard approach. We still are pretty unique. We have pretty unique disposal methods for some things. We aren't just 7 categories of things that we do, that we handle one way. So this A through Z list helps streamline that on the back end for us.
Great. Well, I for one am very impressed with the website and also with your expertise. I mean, really, you've mastered this thing. I can't follow it all, but hat is off to you. And Mike Sullivan has his hand up. Mike, go ahead.
Yes, Elise, how are you?
Hi, Mike. Good to see you.
Good to see you. The only thing I was looking for a little more was perhaps pushing the compost to a higher level of viewing, but it looks like it's a very good website, and this is from somebody who I used to develop it before I retired.
Thanks, Mike.
Websites. It's very good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that. The only other thing I wanted to ask was the picture on the main, on the homepage picture.
Yes.
It is, did Marcus make that mess?
You can tell Mike knows us from our community. I'd like to say no, he did not, but certainly the range of toys there would look like his Christmas.
Lauren.
Yeah, I'm Lauren. I'm the commissioner from Colchester.
Hi.
Thank you for taking into consideration which pages were most visited and prioritizing those. I think that's not done enough, and happy to see folks in our areas be served by the website. I'm curious, with the A to Z list, with it being your most popular item, are you able to drill down into which items are most searched on the A to Z list? And can you share some examples?
Sure. So yes, we are able to do that. So once the data is gathered on the back end, we can run reports that can basically show me what the most popular things are. Because it's brand new, I will tell you from my memory of what they have been previously. Certainly mattresses come to a #1 spot. We've also seen electronics, and that can cover a large swath of things. We have also seen food scraps, because we did have the change in food scraps, banning the food scraps a couple of years ago. Batteries are also now starting to trend up a little bit more, and that's because of the ban. Around this time of year, we see Christmas trees a lot. Halloween, you'll see trending among pumpkins, because people don't know what to do with their jack-o'-lanterns. But the most popular ones are sometimes the bulky items that people have to get rid of, that maybe they're not regular customers of CSWD, they're not coming and bringing their trash, but they have something they know their hauler can't pick up. So then we are seeing bulky items trending in the A through Z list. But part of what I send out to staff, our group for ONC is now sending out a monthly report to different staff saying, hey, these are the things that are trending this month on the website. Here's the most popular pages. That won't change very much, but I think we'll probably see some trending in the A through Z list. And that helps inform the rest of the organization too about, hey, maybe it's time this month for a blog on mattresses and what we do with mattresses. But I also encourage the board, if you have items within your community, like tires is another one, right? When we all have to change over tires seasonally, we do have the possibility of seeing an influx into our facilities or more dumping of tires. So at that time, that information really helps us tailor communications and marketing at those times. But feedback from the communities and the board is always are appreciated, because we can focus or feature one of those items too.
And at least that's something that we can share on a quarterly basis in the program updates with the board as well. So we
Yep, I can do that definitely.
Like the top 5 or something.
Any other questions or comments? But again, it's a fantastic site, fantastic job, that long time coming. Thank you very, very much. And now we'll let you go back to your evening.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Elise.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Elise. We are now ready to move on to item number 6, which is a second, this will be our first executive session for the evening to deal with real estate transaction. Do we have language that can be read into the record?
You do. Motion that the Board of Commissioners of the Chittenden Solid Waste District go into executive session to discuss real estate negotiations where premature general public knowledge would clearly place the district, its member municipalities, and other public bodies or persons involved at a substantial disadvantage, and to permit authorized staff to be present for this session.
So move, South Burlington.
Seconded, Essex.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we enter executive session. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? We will now enter executive session by turning off the recording and closing the doors.
Yes, we don't have anyone from the public, so we just will have channel CCTV. I'll stop recording, they'll stop there on their end, and I'll notify you when we come back to regular session.
Do we have a motion to exit executive session?
So move, South Burlington.
Second, Burlington.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we exit executive session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? We are now back in public session. You're ready for a resolution? If that could be read into the record, please.
Be it resolved that the executive director is authorized to negotiate a purchase and sale agreement with Heinsberg Sand and Gravel for an approximately 38-acre parcel of property at Redmond Road to be used for a new materials recycling facility for the district and for a purchase price not to exceed $3 million. Said purchase and sale agreement shall be subject to prior review by legal counsel to the district and to the approval of the full Board of Commissioners.
So move, South Burlington.
Seconded, Essex.
Thank you. The resolution has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I'm going to ask for a raising of hands when we vote on this, and the secretary will tell us when we can lower our hands. So if you're a commissioner on Zoom, please turn on your video. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and you can say aye.
Aye.
You ready? Okay, we're good. All those against the motion, please raise your hand and say nay.
Nay, sorry, forget, sorry, guys.
And do we have any abstentions? Thank you very much. The motion carries, and we authorize the executive director to enter into negotiations on the location for a new materials recovery facility.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all for the time and the questions.
Good discussion.
Yeah, very good conversation. Thank you.
We're now ready to move on to item number 8, other business. I know there was a question about the CCUF, but maybe we can do that another time, get those questions clarified, perhaps offline.
Yeah, I'll defer to the staff.
And you're okay with that?
Give me a call again.
Your questions on the community cleanup fund that you were asking. We'll get you the answers.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm gonna.
Any other business to bring before the board tonight?
I move we adjourn.
Seconded, Essex.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Say nay. Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you very much. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday,
Happy
safe,
holidays.
Same to you.
happy, as well as a good new year.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.